All right, we're going to look into body lock passing. Get into it whenever our opponent's back is exposed off the mat. So we're going to start showing the gripping, and then we'll work our way into some entries. So anytime my opponent's back is exposed off the mat, we can get to a body lock. The body lock position is my shoulders are below Jared's shoulder line, and my hands are interlocked right above the waistline. Okay? You can go, the gripping will just depend on your body length and your opponent's body size, but I prefer to try and go a hook grip, or if I can, I go a palm-to-palm grip. But it has to be right below the waistline. And then my goal is to create a wedge by pinning my arm right underneath Jared's back. The wedge side here is preventing Jared from hip escaping out. So if Jared tries to scoot his hip out to the side, he's running right into my elbow. Okay? So on the body lock, it's about creating wedges where you're immobilizing your opponent's hips. Okay? So I have my wedge on this side, my body lock grip on this side, so I'm shutting down Jared's mobility on his hips. So when Jared's trying to hip out and go side to side, it's extremely difficult. Okay? Now you can't do that if you go a high body lock here and you try and pin your opponent down. Jared's hips can still move side to side. You can see the opening on my elbows. Jared's hip can still get side to side. He can start working on my arm or working butterfly sweeps. So when you're going to work these the body lock passing, you want to try and get below his shoulder line when you enter, and I'm grabbing right above the waistline. Hook grip, palm to palm. If you can't reach, I just go a scoop grip onto the waist, but preferably try and get to some sort of grip, hand-to-hand grip. And then we're pinning our arm underneath our opponent's lower back. Elbows are wedged against their hips, immobilizing their legs, and then we'll continue to pass from here. So one more time. And this is just the gripping. We'll work entries right now. So below the shoulder line, if you're not below the shoulder line, it's going to be really difficult, even with double unders, to get to that waist. Okay? So by lowering myself below a shoulder line, I can get to that waist. And again, the longer arms you have on body locks passing, the easier you're going to have, but you can still get it with shorter limbs. Hook grip, and flatten your opponent out here. Now, one arm is going to be as far across as you can. You don't want to have your lock interlaced right in the middle, okay? Because then there's going to be space on either side of my elbow for his hips to still move. So if I want to pass to my right, my left hand is going to be wedged as far across as I can. Let me turn this over really quick. So if I'm interlaced right in the middle, there's space on my elbows. So if I want to pass to my right with the body lock, I want to make sure my left hand, the opposite side, is as far across as I can, so that way I'm limiting the space on this side of his hip. So that way I'm preventing Jared from hipping out. So if I want to pass to my right, my left body lock grip is as far across as I can. So when I pin Jared down to the mat now, that side there is no space on that arm for him to hip escape. And then this arm we can start using for wedges and still winning the inside position because my hand is free, not pinned underneath Jared. Get back in. If I interlace right underneath them, now my hands are pinned and it's going to be a little more difficult to continue to pass. Okay? So when you decide to go for your body lock passing, have a side in mind you want to pass to, because that side you're going to want to have a free hand to start to work. So below the shoulder line, lock up your grip right above the waistline. Opposite side passing, I'm trying to get that arm as far across as I can, locking up my hands, and then pinning that arm underneath my opponent. Okay? Again, trying to create a wedge on this side where there's no space for the hip to move. And then this hand can eventually start letting go, creating elbow wedges to push the legs down to start to pass. Okay. And then head position. Head position just somewhere neutral on the body. I don't want to keep it in the pocket. If I'm going to pass to my right, I don't want to keep my head down on the pocket right here. So what I'm talking about is keep my head down on this side. It's really hard to get Jared all the way flat to the mat and create a wedge if my head is off center line in the pocket. Okay? And then if Jared just pushes my head down, just a stiff arm, it's going to be hard. It's going to prevent me from passing and getting him flat. So my head position at the beginning is just neutral, right in the center line, or maybe just a little off, so I can use my head to pin him down. And then now if Jared's trying to push my head to the side, it's going to be a lot more difficult. So that's just the entry grip. Just make sure you're locking up right above the waistline, head in the center, and then the side you're going to pass to, make sure that opposite arm is as deep as you can to create a wedge on the opposite side you're going to pass. Okay, so we'll look at a pretty common entry if you like the body lock pass, and it's from butterfly guard. So we'll go ahead and start just in a neutral position in butterfly, where I have my elbows on the outside of Jared's hip. My knees are driving forward to pin his heels to his butt, so it's just a neutral position. No one's really in any advantage. Jared doesn't have an over or under. I don't have good control of his upper body, so I'm just shutting down Jared's butterfly hooks. Now from here, Jared's really limited on his options, so he's going to want to try and forward shift and sit up and get better angles for his attacks, whether he wants to stay in butterfly guard or not. So he just lifts and forward shifts up. Now Jared's able to start working. Jared can create an angle now, start working for sweeps, getting up, okay, getting arm exposure. But when he sits up, again, anytime you want a body lock pass, you just need that back exposure. So when Jared forward shifts and sits up, my hands are going to be ready to interlock and start working my pass. Okay, so as soon as your opponent's lower back is exposed, again, reaching as far across to the side you want to pass, creating that wedge on the opposite side so there's no space for his hip to move. Okay, locking up my grip. Now as soon as I get here, I need to pin Jared back flat. I can't stay here too long. He can still start working angles and getting out. So as soon as that lower back is exposed, get in my grip, I'm going to pull his hips back in and drive my knees into his heels. So I pull and then drive Jared flat. Now I have my wedge on my far side, so I'm ready to start passing to my right. Now make sure our head stays onto the center line. All Jared has to do to prevent me from passing to my right is just push my head down and keep my head there. I'm no longer now going to be able to pass over here. Okay, so make sure our head just stays nice and tight on the center line, and now we're ready to start to pass. First one we're going to do is called a pass off, where turn sides just real quick here, where I'm just going to get both of my legs in front of the shin on the side I'm going to pass to, jamming that leg in there so now he can't hook my leg or stop me. So from here, go ahead and sit up. I got my body lock. I flatten Jared out. Okay. Jared's got his butterfly hook, so if I just try and hop over, if he's got sticky hooks, okay, where he's engaged on my leg, I'm not going to be able to step over and pass. Now, I shouldn't have to tell you this, but if he's not hooking my legs, if you feel your opponent not hooking, drop your feet down. Okay, there's nothing stopping you from hopping to either side. I can just walk over and pass this side. I can walk over and pass here. Okay, so if your opponent isn't hooking your legs, okay, where there's no connection, just hop over. Okay, but a good opponent is just going to have his sticky hook, so if you try and just hop over, there's nothing there. Okay, so I need to shut his hooks down. So we're going to do a pass off. I'm going to go to my right. I'm going to sprawl, dropping my left hip down to the mat. I'm trying to clear that far hook. Turn this way. So I got my body lock. I flatten Jared out, and I drive my knees into his heels, pinning his hooks to his butt. So if Jared tries to lift, it's extremely difficult. from here, I'm going to pass to my right. So I'm going to drop my left hip down, clearing that hook. So now Jared tried to lift there, there's nothing there. Okay, so pin my hip to the mat, and then this is where the pass off comes from. I'm going to swing that knee in front of the far hook here. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm pinning Jared's lifting leg with both of my thighs, pinning that leg there, so it's not stopping me anymore from passing around. Okay. So from this angle, so you can see, pin him down. I drop my hip to the mat, clearing that hook. Now we pass off. And I can square back up to the mat, and I pinned that hook against his body. So now when Jared tries to get a half guard or a lift, there's nothing there. Okay? Now we can start to pass. Show it from a few angles. So you have your opponent pinned in a neutral position. Jared wants to lift and create an angle. As soon as he does, I'm ready for the body lock. I'm already below. Remember, make sure you're below the shoulder line. Lock up my grip. Pin him flat. Pass off. Pin the hip to the mat, clearing that far hook. Bring both shins in front of the near side hook. Now Jared has no half guard or butterfly. He can't lift, he can't trap my leg, and this one can't lift me now either because I'm pinning my legs right in front of Jared's shin. Okay, turn this one down. So now we're almost past. Okay? The only thing that stopped me now is clearing the knee line, the near side knee here. So our eventual goal is to start getting our legs over his knee line so I can pass like that. Okay? Now Jared has this arm to still protect and defend the inside position. So it's about who's going to win the inside position here. Sit up so we get my body lock. So we're on the body lock. I had him flat. I'm going to use my elbow. Okay, look how I can still hold my body lock grip and use my elbow to pin the leg here so he can't follow me. And what I'm going to do is just tippy toe till my knee line is over Jared's, and then I can use this knee to push, pass off that knee pass so I can get all the way to side control. Okay. So with the body lock grip, let me get my grip. So with your hook grip, head on the center line. Remember, Jared can stop this whole process if he can just keep my head down. So make sure our head stays on the center line. I can use my elbow now to pin this leg down. I tiptoe over. Once my knee can pass his knee line, we'll use that to push. Now as I push, my head now transfers as far as I can over the shoulder to the other side of the center line. Bring our near side leg underneath, and we secure our pass. I have my far body lock wedge preventing Jared from hipping out, and then the near side knee is going to be wedged underneath this leg so Jared can't hip out to this side. So as soon as I pass, I still have my arms interlocked. I have my far side body lock wedge, and then this near side leg is wedged underneath Jared's leg. So when Jared's trying to hip escape side to side, that's difficult. If he tries to bridge, all my weight is just down here, pinning on his lower body. And then eventually, I'll start working my way up. Okay? But off a body lock pass, your initial pass is going to be low. And I'm just holding the position, and I'll work my way up. So from just a neutral butterfly guard, Jared forward shifts and sits up, exposing his lower back. I want to pass to my right, so my left arm is going to reach as far as across as I can. Get your grip right above the waistline, sucking him back in, pinning his heels to his butt. Now, I do the pass off. If I pass to my right, I'm sprawling, pinning my left hip as close to the mat as I can, clearing that far hook. I pin his heel to his butt, so it allows me to pass off and bring both shins in front of that leg. Now we start to pin this leg down and pass the knee line. I use my elbow as a wedge to keep his leg here. Tiptoe over. As soon as my knee can beat Jared's knee line, my head will start shifting over and pass. Another angle, switch sides. So from this side, so you can see how I pass off on that leg. So pin Jared down. As soon as I get Jared, oh, I already did. As soon as I get Jared here, drop that hip. So if Jared tries to lift with that butterfly hook, it's probably going to slip out. There's nothing there. If Jared tries to trap that leg in half guard, he can't because I'm pinning the half guard leg to his butt. Now I bring that knee in front of the near side butterfly hook, pin in the leg. There's the knee line. Head center line shift, so as you're going to pass the knee line, my head shifts over to the opposite side, preventing Jared from sitting up to that off that shoulder. So as I pass the knee line, head shifts, pinning that shoulder down, and I got my pass. Again, from the other angle. So neutral. This is a good position here to kind of wear the guy out. I'm safe. Maybe I took him down or swept and I'm kind of tired. I just want to maintain my position for a little bit. So it's a good safe position. As long as I keep Jared's hips closed where he can't go side to side, so my elbows are always knee to elbow over his hip, head on the center line. Jared holds my elbows, goes to forward shift and sit up. That exposes his lower back. Suck him in, drive him flat, heels to his butt, pass off, dropping my far hip, make sure we keep this knee tight, bringing both knees in front of the near side shin. Now we try and use our elbow as a wedge, tiptoe over that knee line. As I beat that knee line, head slides over to the far shoulder, and we get our pass. Now really quick, from this position, from this position here, if you can't use your elbow or you feel you need to use your hand, you can use your hand, just don't expose your elbow. For underhooks, scoop grip, yeah. Okay, for underhooks, go back, or Kimura grips. Okay, so you can use your hand. You can let go. At this point, you can let go of your grip because your weight and Jared's weight is pinning that arm for that wedge, so it's not going to move. But if you're going to use this hand, it's with the shallow grip here like this. So I'm cupping the hip, and I'm just using my elbow to hold that knee down, so I can pass like this. And then my hand will come back maybe to the bicep, so I can win this inside position, pass off, and then I go right to the head. Okay. So if you feel you have to use this hand to try and push this leg down, because maybe Jared has longer legs, his knees up high, and I just can't get over it, walk to the side and use your elbow. Okay, a little T-Rex arm, cupping the hip, avoid pushing the knee. Now I keep that knee down, tiptoe over. Now I beat that knee line. When Jared goes to push my knee, maybe I'll pick or go underneath. So let's look at a basic entry from butterfly guard. Again, anytime you want to work your body lock passing, you just need your opponent's lower back exposed off the mat. So sometimes off that pass off, we find ourselves having a hard time trying to pin get both of our legs in front of the shin, so we'll just force half guard. So the position I'm talking about is after we get the pass off where I'm trying to get both of my shins, both of my legs in front of Jared's shin. Sometimes it's difficult to find that shin with that far leg. Okay, so if Jared said so after we're trying to do the pass off, I sprawl off of that I cleared the far hook by pinning my hip to the mat and sprawling. But sometimes Jared is keeping a good low hook, so it's hard to find that shin. So what I'm talking about here, let me turn the angle so they can see. So if I'm trying to find that shin with this knee, sometimes it's difficult. So what we're going to do is just force a half guard. Okay? Now, if I can, I'm trying to get this position here. Okay? But we're not always going to be able to find that shin. So we're going to force the half guard when that happens. So we'll just skip the entry. We're in the body lock. We pinned him down. I've sprawled and I cleared that far hook. Now, make sure really quick that we keep the near side knee as tight as we can. If this becomes loose by sprawling this one back, there's nothing preventing Jared from just getting a closed guard. Okay, which we want to try and avoid. So once you clear this far hook by sprawling, make sure this knee stays tight, otherwise you're going to end up in a closed guard position. Okay. So I'm keeping this knee tight. I'm trying to pass off, but I cannot find this shin with this near side knee. So all we're going to do is just force a half guard and then do a body lock pass from half guard. Okay. So I'm trying to find that knee or the shin, and I can't. So I bring in the far knee as close to Jared's hip as I can, and then now we're just going to do the same knee line battle, but from a half guard position. So we're not going to be able to pass directly to side control like we did with the pass off, where I get in front of both shins, beat the knee line, and I pass. We're going to have to do another step and just get to half guard and then do a half guard pass. So I'm trying to find the shin for the pass off. I can't, so I just bring my knee as close to his hip as I can, and then now do the same knee line battle, and then we force half guard is what we're doing. Okay, so all I'm doing is, instead of passing, being able to pass all the way, I'm passing to a half guard position. Now, I like passing the half guard because I tend to lead straight to a mount pass. Okay, but you can still go to side control if you want. It's just going to be an extra step. So once you force the half guard, it just becomes a basic foot wipe or foot wedge pass. So we pin our opponent down. I'm attempting to pass off. I cleared that far hook, and I can't find that shin. Jared's keeping a good deep butterfly hook, so I'm unable to find that leg. So I bring in the knee into half guard instead. Do the same knee line battle. Tiptoe over that knee line. Pushing it down. Bringing my knee to win the inside position. And then from here we're going to do, I'll just show a basic foot wipe pass and then go to side control. From here, make sure our head still center line shifts. If Jared can keep my head on this side in the half guard, he's going to prevent me from passing. So my head center line shifts. I'm going to put all my near side shoulder, all my weight onto my near side shoulder, so I can tippy toe and get my foot wipe. From here, I just push down, knee slice, and pass. Let me change angle. Get your body lock, flatten Jared out. I sprawl through that far hook. Now I just can't get in front of that shin. So all we're doing is bringing that knee into his half guard, forcing the half guard position. Okay. From here, we win the inside the knee line battle, pinning that down. My head shifts over. So all we did was force the half guard position. From here, if you want to pass with the body lock, I tripod, walking my legs up, foot wipe, and pass. So Jared forward shifts and sits up. Lock our hands, flatten them out. Just pin my hip to the mat, clearing the far hook. We're forced in half guard this time. I bring my knee into his half guard. Now, as we win the next battle, the knee line battle, tiptoe over that knee line. Our head shifts over the center line, and we force half guard. Now from here, if you don't want to do the wedge pass, what I do is I start winning the inside position here. I like to go underneath the near side arm to prevent Jared from pushing my, if I go for the head, a lot of times Jared can start using an elbow wedge to clear my leg and start getting his butterfly guard back. So I like to go for a double under position underneath this arm. And then now I'll wait for Jared to try and turn towards me and bridge. And then that clears this. And then I can start working up using a foot wipe and then going straight to a mount with a double under. Okay, but we won't spend time on that. Just gonna show you your options. So last time, if you're having difficulty getting in front for that pass off so you can pass right away. Okay, so the initial one was pass off. We're not always going to be able to find that leg, so we just force half guard. Bring the knee in to half guard, step over, head center line chest, and we're in half guard. And then work your half guard passes. So on the pass off, if you're having difficulty getting in front of the shin with both your legs, just settle for half guard and work a half guard pass. Okay, so up to this point, we've just been starting in a butterfly, probably the most common position you'll get a body lock pass from, but we'll work some entries from a standing position. So the first entry we'll do is when our opponent is in a seated open guard. Okay? So in a seated open guard, his lower back is exposed. It's just a matter of getting to it from here. Okay? So anytime their lower back is exposed off the mat, we can get to our body lock. So to get to it from here, our first step is to walk in and control the hands, okay? Because I can't just drop to my knees, okay, and expect to get double unders from here on a good opponent, okay? And you have to get below the shoulder line. So as I walk up, I'll just show it from here for now. Little trick to get the inside position is controlling the top of the hands here. If I just control Jared's wrists, Jared can still pummel out and then just keep the inside position. So if I hold Jared's wrist and I'm trying to get to an inside position, he can just re-pummel and get it inside position pretty easily. So we do a C-clamp or V-grip over the knuckles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to turn Jared's hand down and away. And this puts a lot of pressure on the wrist and elbow, forcing Jared's elbow to come up. Now if Jared wants to take his arm out, he has to pull away, and that's going to give me the underhook. Okay? This is the same way I would get underhooks from a standing position if I want to try and get double unders or an inside tie. So we cup the knuckles, and I start pushing the hand towards Jared's body. As I push it towards his body, I start turning, okay, just a little grip, just a little twist with my hand, and that's going to force Jared's elbow up just enough where I can get my underhook. And if Jared wants to try and peel his grip away, he can't do it without opening his elbow and getting this space because of the way I'm turning his wrist. If Jared wants to pull away, he has to pull his elbow up, and that gives me the underhooks. And you're going to be doing that with both at the same time. Okay? So as I walk up to start to engage Jared, okay, I look to get the top of both hands. I start to push his hands closer to his body and then rotating his palms away. Okay? As he starts to try and disengage, he opens up the body. Again, I'm below his shoulder line. I don't want to dive in like this. You're probably going to get swept right away. So as Jared peeled his grips away, I'm below the shoulder line. I want to pass to my left this time, so make sure that our right arm is as tight as we can. Driving them flat, and then we're back to our starting position. I got my closed wedge underneath his back, head on the center line, and heels pinned to his body. From here, we just go back to our passing. Jared tries, I'm already here, so I drop my hip to the mat, attempt our pass off. Oh. So seated position, walking up, getting control of the hands, pushing them towards your opponent's body, towards the waist, trying to get below that shoulder line. I'm turning the palm out, and as I turn the palm out to disengage that grip, Jared has to lift his elbow up. And that gives me the body lock. Drive in. Before you flatten your opponent out, make sure we get our grip. Drive the heels to his butt. Little point that I didn't point out before. Make sure you get your grip below that waistline before you pin your opponent down. If I have a higher body lock and I pin him down, I'm not closing his hip down. Jared's already onto his side. Okay, he can start going for sweeps and arm attacks. So make sure that that arm, before you pin your opponent flat, is right above that waistline. And that's what's going to shut his hip down. Okay. So again, on this entry, turn this way a little bit. So when I walk in, I'm looking for the top of those hands. Okay. If I allow Jared to get top of my hands, now I have no control. I'm not going to be able to win the inside position, and I'm going to have to peel away, opening up my legs for attacks and sweeps. So when I'm looking to engage my opponent here, I'm always looking for the top of the hands. Then I start to pin, push towards his body. Now I'm already close enough to engage. I start turning the palms out. I'm below his shoulder line. And as Jared pulled his arms out, I'm in for my body lock. I want to pass to my left, so my right hand closes that space. I get my wedge, flatten out, and then work your pass. Last time, just remember, it's right over the knuckles, not on the wrist. Jared can just re-pummel, hit arm drags, okay, right over those knuckles. So now if Jared tries, there's no way Jared can't arm drag me. I can disengage without opening up. And we're not doing this where I push away. Jared can still attack me here. Okay? I'm pinning his hand towards his body so I can get closer. And I start turning away. And he has to open up that elbow to get, and then it's going to allow me to get the inside position. Okay, so one more time from standing. I'm walking in. Elbows are close to my knees. I get the top of his hands. I start lowering my stance to his shoulder line, pinning his hands to his body, opening those palms. And that opens up that space for that double under. 1, 2. Before he goes flat, I make sure my grip is below his waist. Right above his waistline. Suck him in. Drive the heels to his butt. Now we can start to pass. So from a seated guard position, look to get a V grip right over the knuckles, pinning the hands towards the body, and then you just slightly start turning that out, opening that space, and make sure when we go in, we're below the shoulder line. Okay, now look at forcing that butterfly position when our opponent's in a supine position, flat on their back. So we looked at open guard seated position. Now we'll look at when our opponent is on his back and we want to get to force that position here. So all I'm going to do is just get control of the shins on the ankle, and as soon as I can pin his legs down, all I'm going to do is just force that butterfly, elbows over, and we close the hip. And then from here we just wait for our opponent to try and forward shift, exposing his lower back, and we're back on the body lock. So all we're trying to do is just force that butterfly position. Right back. So our opponent's on his back. I need to expose that lower back, but first I need to get in to pin the legs down to a butterfly. So I go get control of the shins. Right away I'm just pinning as I drop down. I'm pinning my knees to the outside of his heels. Elbows come over, elbows to knee, and shut down his hips. And we just wait for the forward shift. As soon as his lower back is exposed, lock up the body lock, suck him in, and drive the heels back in, and then work your pass. So real basic entry when you're having maybe difficulty trying to pass around, he's not allowing you to get to leg drags, pin, drop your knees to the outside of his heels. Jared's heels are to his butt, my elbows immediately come over and shut down his hip. And then we just wait for him to expose his lower back. Exposes his back. Now, work your pass off, knee line. Pass. One more time. Yeah, it won't work if you're trying to pin the heels to his butt. It won't work from a high shin grip. Okay? So it's a low grip here. But try not to get too low where now you allow Jared to sit up and start working drags Okay, not balancing. So you gotta act as soon as you decide to go here. I hip in first. So now if Jared tries to sit up, he's gonna expose his back right away. So don't push him down with the hands first, allowing your opponent to sit up off of that and attack your arms. Okay? As you push him down, I'm dropping with my hands. Okay, so just a little tip on that. I'm not pinning him down here like this with my hands. Okay? As soon as his heel's down, a lot of times Jared's gonna sit up. If I go here, Jared sits up with that and attacks. So knowing that Jared's probably gonna sit up off of that, I need to be on my knees. So if he sits up, he's already exposing that back. Okay, last time. Low grip on the ankles. As I pin him to his butt, I'm dropping my knees to the outside, elbows over, shut him down, and just wait for that back exposure. Okay, so from a supine back position when your opponent's on his back, just look to get a C-clamp on the ankles, and as you squat to pin the heels down, make sure our knees get to the outside of his ankles.